welcome to this week's episode of Dum Dum Die. I'm Carla. We are an all-awesome, all-female D&D 5th edition homebrew podcast and interactive live Twitch stream. I am just one of four. It's set in my homebrew world of Kalindos. And around the table are my players who are going to introduce themselves.
I'm Wednesday. I play a Lauren Skyvale, the Azamar Paladin. After almost being lasered through by a baby beholder, I am currently running up the stairs. Full plate armor, as only a paladin can do.
Hey guys, I'm Nelly. I play Kira Nightingale, a half-elf sorcerer, and after being flung about like a rag doll by said baby beholder, I decided I have no time to be here, and I made my moves, and I made sure everyone else was collectively going up with me whether they wanted to or not, and I'm ready to escape and find my mother and seek vengeance against her.
Hi everyone, I'm Lena and I play Andromach, the Changeling Paladin, and I am insulted because people promised Baby Beholder a game of hide and seek and then they just abandoned everyone and they left the little Baby Beholder down there in the sewers all alone, still counting, hoping that its friends would come back. How is that not mean? I do an offend.
It seems it offended you so much you actually changed classes. You were just like,
Wrong
I'm
game,
so offended,
Lena.
I'm now a paladin. So, picking up where we left off, only Andromach, the non-paladin druid, heard the beholder counting as the beholder is waiting for you guys to come back and play hide and seek, and the guilt trip is real. The other two are just legging it up the stairs with Bob, the battle butler, as well. As you continue up the stairs, are you going to do anything? You've got a couple of flights of stairs, and honestly, each flight resembles the previous one, just with a different number on the staircase block.
I'm running.
I'm focused on the training aspect of this running up the stairs.
Paladin CrossFit.
Are you being stealthy? Are you being attentive? We're just running. How are you running?
I'm in full plate armor. There's no stealth applicable here.
Wait, actually, I'll be looking to Bob and I'll be asking Bob, like, what's the best way to get to where we need to be?
Bob is very fit as a monk. He hasn't been so offended that he's changed classes. He's still a monk. He is jogging next to you up the stairs. You know those annoying people, like when you're on a run and then you're like huffing, puffing up the hill, and then there's some asshole who like runs past you and is like, hey, good morning, and you're like, I will kill you and your family if I can find you. He's that guy. So he's jogging next to you and he says, well, normally we sort of sneak out of the stairwell one by one in intermittent intervals, however, and he looks anxiously back down the stairs. He's like, however, it seems we're just going to have to belt it. We will come out in the center of the palace courtyards, as a lot of the, and Lauren, you would also know this, as a lot of the sort of public works are housed within the, Lauren, you vaguely know this, but it's purely because even though it's Top City, it's not like menial labor because it actually involves quite a lot of magic and looking after. So garbage collection, waste disposal, cleaning the city, that is all highly skilled magical work. And the palace wants to look after the people who do that, but also it's grounded from there because the palace is actually where the original part of Top City, and then everything was built around it. So he says, we'll come out in the palace gardens and then usually we go out separate ways, but we are heading to speak to Her Highness. So we shall pass through the topiary and head straight to her courtier's office. Andromach?
Is this like a singular route up? Because I'm alone at the moment.
As far as you can tell, only one route upwards.
Oh, perfect. So I can't get lost. I'm just going to jog up to see if I can catch up to everybody else.
And there's no doors leading anywhere else on any of the staircases. Please, can all of you roll D20 for me and add your dex?
7.
That makes sense for you?
I actually also got 7.
A little less. Like, you were freaked out by the beholder, clearly.
5.
You're feeling real bad. You start bolting up the stairs, and as you get to the top of the stairs, you realize at the level before there's a plaque that says Il Uranos Wasteworks 1. As you run up the last flight of stairs and you can see a door approaching you on the next landing, you realize that the banister has slowly become more and more ornate as you go up the flights, to be quite curlicued, filigreed. It's still made out of wrought iron, so it's like quite sturdy, but it's decorative. And as you get to the top of the landing, there is a door that, although it looks plain, it's like a plain wooden door, when you look closely at it, you see the grain of the wood has actually created an image of what appears to be a beautiful maze-like garden. Cool. Yeah, Bob rolled an 8, so he's gonna just open the door. As he does so, you see what was ingrained in the grain of the wood, you see in real life. You see, looking out, a beautiful maze-like structure of hedges, flowers, and different topiary. The topiary ranges from what you assume can only be people to the sky whales to suns and this moon and stars. And if you look up, you can see in the distance another bubble, glass architecture. So there's glass architecture over every single building in Il Uranus to protect from the sun. Everyone knows that it's got a protective glazing over, but also to allow you to look up and be under the sky as opposed to under a building when you're, inverted commas, outside. And in the distance, 4 kilometers away, you can see the palace. For the garden, it's not as large a structure as you would think it would be, but around it, smaller buildings, and Lauren, you would know these are the public works buildings. Kira, you could probably recognize one has a similar shape to a Shadows Guild, and there are one-story structure mostly, except for at the center of what you assume is the maze. If you're going to walk out the path, there is a second story above that, and it's a sprawling structure made out of what appears to be white. It's almost luminescent when the sun shines on it. It's not that bright like when the sun shines on something white and it blinds you, but it almost makes it sparkle. And from this distance, it looks like it could be quartz. That is what you see. So Bob rushes out, holds the door open, and is like, come, quickly.
I'm rushing. Yeah, I'll come out. I'll probably be looking around, taking it all in. Yeah.
I'm gonna do a good calisthenic stretch when I get to the top.
In all that armor?
In all that armor. And there's a very strong apple smell in the air around. A lot of sweat going on. Yeah, we'd established that angels smell like apples and cinnamon.
That's true.
But not nice apples, like just before your apples are about to go. And
so
they're like squishy.
Sickeningly sweet.
So
Did I catch up to the rest of the party?
Then you come like 18 seconds after they've arrived at the top. You can see Bob is looking very worried as he's like, Andromach, come quickly.
I'll run a bit extra fast to that last little bit. I'll do a bit of a sprint.
As you come through, he shuts the door, and you can see that on the back side of the door, it's actually, the building looks like a hedge. So it's been covered in topiary as well. So it blends into the garden and the maze. Roll perception for me.
I do just want to say that after I get back to the surface, Andromach's a bit of a country bumpkin. So she's going to walk and then openly gawp at everything.
16.
19.
Also 19.
So you guys notice that there are some other squat, square-shaped hedges that potentially could be other public works buildings within this maze area. You can see that they're not necessarily hidden, but they are trying to blend into the garden and the maze architecture. Everyone who rolled 19, you also hear the sound of running.
Bob, are we expected here? I think there's people coming this way.
Lauren is going to stand firm.
I'm
One
looking at all
does
the
not hide in these situations.
One does not hide. One does not simply go back to... The moment I saw some of the topiary of like the sky whales and whatnot, I'm super like, wow, like really focused on that. So
Bob says, no, you shouldn't be expected unless... Who else did you tell you were coming here?
Lady Zetu would know. Yeah.
Yes, Lady Zetu. I
Yes,
don't think we told anyone else.
Yes,
Like
but we
to turn-
sent...
To look back at them and say, they're coming. Stand firm, stand ready in our purpose.
And Bob says, oh, Lauren, hide. Bob is gonna hide. He's going to say, it's probably the palace guards. And Bob is hiding.
I'm so confused.
I'm gonna dive behind a bush.
Can I try to, like, tackle Lauren into a bush? Because I feel like he's not going to try to move.
Roll stealth for me, Lena. Nelly, roll stealth and strength for me. I'm going to say you have advantage on your strength because Lauren is confused and not expecting it.
I'm confused as to why everybody's hiding. We didn't come here, to do anything bad. Why should we hide?
Lauren, roll insight for me while this is happening. Your mind is trying to figure this out.
7.
Cool. Why are you hiding? No one knows.
Exactly.
I got nat 20 for stealth, and I got 12 for strength.
Lauren, what's your base strength?
+3.
Roll a contested roll at a disadvantage.
6.
You push him into the bush.
I was never ready.
And with a natural 20, you managed to hide Lauren as well. You found, oddly, a paladin topiary, which now that you're hiding within it, and the fact that you've maneuvered Lauren's arms into the position of the topiary,
Well, Lauren may just be in shock from being in such close quarters.
you realize that it oddly matches his body quite well, except the topiary is female. But he manages to fit within this topiary quite well. Lena, sorry, what was your stealth?
4.
You are panicked. I'm a look for bush. Bob has disappeared. Kieran and Lauren disappeared. Like that last kid in hide and seek that was like, yeah, we're going to play hide and seek. And then the person starts counting and they're like, shit, I actually have to hide. And then they always look in the same room. They don't leave the room. They're like, I'm going to hide in this room behind this couch.
Since all these bushes are so beautifully manicured, it's not the rough wild, so it has its own kind of beauty. I don't want to damage one of the bushes accidentally by stomping all over it like they did. So I am going to wild shape into a cat. And I'm just going to sit right there.
Okay, that actually weirdly works with what chat has said. As running down, you see 2, Lauren, what you know are palace guards. But the others just see 2 men in fine armor, and it's got inlaid filigree that creates what appears to be a house emblem. But the thing is, you can see that even though it's fine, it's not ornamental armor. They know how to use this armor. It's not just for the show of it. And racing along with them is a cat. Everyone can roll Arcana for me. It's a beautiful cat in that it's black in color, but it has that sheen to it that where the light hits it differently, its color changes. What did you guys get on Arcana?
14.
17.
Andromach? Probably just a cat. It's a beautiful cat. And any magical vibes you get off of it is probably because we know that people can adjust things' looks with magic, and these rich people are adjusting their cats to look beautiful. So, Lauren, you know that this is a magical cat. It's actually magical. But it's not because your Arcana's any better. It's just the palace, and no one's gonna have just a random cat.
If you don't have a glamour cat, you don't have a cat at all.
It's a special cat. Kira, you realize this is not just a cat. It is a magical being in the shape of a cat. You feel sure that you won't be spotted, but you have a weird sense that when the cat looks towards where your hiding place, it almost sees through the topiary towards you. At which point, the 2 guards stop, and they're gonna look around. 2, that guard sees nothing.
Sees Andromach sitting in the middle of the walkway, just being a cat.
Well, the one who rolled 2 didn't even notice the cat.
Oh, jeez.
You're not glamorous enough to be seen. And
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of cat are you? Just a tabby?
Yeah, I'm just a very cute, white and black tabby.
Okay, but it's still cute. But I mean, you're not glamour cat.
That's rich people cats. I'm a country cat.
I'm a country cat. The guard that rolled very low on perception almost does trip over you, and the other one stops him and says, wait, and looks around. Obviously, he sees the cat. He pauses for a moment on your topiary, Kira and Lauren, but moves on. And then he pauses at what appears to be a topiary in the shape of a flower, and then moves past it. And he looks at the cat that is Andromach, and then he looks at the glamour cat, And he says, well, what do we have here? At which point you hear in dulcet tones a voice coming from the glamour cat saying, it is an imposter, clearly. And it's going to swipe at you. Andromach, please make a Arcana saving throw. Yes, it's a thing now.
And nat 20.
As the cat swipes at you, you literally feel, Andromach, that the cat doesn't swipe against your body, but it seems like it was swiping against the magical layer that changed your shape. And you could feel as the claws went past that it was trying to pull wild shape off of you. But you managed to stay in the form, at which point the cat says, oh, you're strong, and goes to pick you up by the scruff of your neck like a mommy cat.
I'm going to do a very pitiful mew.
Are you going to try and make people feel sorry for you? Is that your plan? Okay, roll performance for me.
Ooh, do the Puss in Boots, eyes. Yeah, the Puss in Boots eyes.
17.
The two guards look at the cat and say, Lyra, don't be so rude. This is clearly just a normal cat. Lyra is putting her mouth over your neck, not to kill you or anything, but to pick you up. And you can see almost when you tell a cat or a dog and you're like, what are you doing? And they're like, nothing, with their face. The cat is going to open its mouth. And when they say, it's Lyra, clearly it's a normal cat, it's going to close its mouth and say, it's not, and I can prove it. And then Lyra looks at you and is going to look you in your eyes. Please make a wisdom saving throw.
You're going through emotions. Okay, Andrew.
18. I've got a +5 on wisdom.
Nice.
Wow.
As you feel what you're sure is a charm spell coming across, and Lyra says, you want to reveal your true identity. You are no cat.
And I'm going to, when cats get scared, they kind of shrink into themselves.
Chat over or under, please.
People from the country are surely wise.
At which point, the guard who spotted you as the cat picks you up and says, it is just a normal cat. I'm going to look after it and take it with me. My wife would love a pet. And then you can see Lyra looks at him like, cats are not pets. You can see that's her vibe. She doesn't say it. I'm telling you, that is not a cat. And then he strokes you and he's scritching behind your ears, Lena. And he says, well, you're not a cat. And yet here we are. And then he's going to keep walking. And he's to the other guard, he's like, what do you think that sound was? Maybe it was this cat. They look around in the bushes a bit more, don't find anything, and head out. Lyra follows behind with her tail flicking angrily. As they start walking away back towards what you assume is their route within the topiary, you hear them discussing how the cat must have knocked something over. Maybe it was the handle of one of the public works buildings, because they are interesting, and probably was batting at it.
You don't even try to get away. You're just casually oh, well, I don't know these people, but I'll join them and just leave.
You can say thanks later. You can say thank you later.
Just a question. Who has the signal flare that Bob gave you guys?
I think it was Andromach.
Yeah, I think it's Andromach who has it.
Just asking, no reason. All right, so moving on. We're going to hand it over to Wednesday, who is going to share our wonderful ad for this day.
Dear Aurelia, Z-Man Games Love Letter has challenged me, a Lauren Skyvale, to prove my worth by earning the princess's trust in order to become her ideal partner and confidant. To prevent my letter from being unsent, I will need to make and enlist allies amongst her servants, the court, the clergy, and nobility. Alas, I will not be the only one trying to garner her attentions, as this game may accommodate 2 to 6 players. I wrote a letter to my love today. It was hard to say what I had to say. My concern lies in that if I drop it, someone would easily put it into their pocket because Love Letter fits neatly into any pocket, encased in its beautiful bag. However, will I gain her favor? Since whilst I was away, I failed to write home every day to send all my loving to Her Majesty. Love Letter costs only $11.99 at Target or online at Z-Man Games. I know it's not much, but it's the best I can do. Without a calculator, it's under 200 Rand at your local game store. If you're age 10 and up, this game's for you.
Bob is going to wait 5 minutes till their footsteps dissipate into the distance, and he's going to sneak out from behind the flower topiary, and he's going to say, "What are we going to do?"
I'm going to say, Miss Nightingale, you're standing too close to me.
I'm gonna jump out of the pattern-shaped topiary. I'll pause and look at the topiary and think, that is an odd coincidence. Coincidences never happen, do they?
Roll insight for me because you've seen it, but now can you put it
I'm
together?
going to step out and stand next to it.
Okay, because he's doing that, you can roll again. I'm going to give you advantage.
14.
You realize that they look extremely similar in shape and size. So it could just be a generic paladin slash Azamar-shaped topiary. However, the shape of the jawline looks very similar to Aloran's. But the fact that it is made out of topiary, you couldn't pull any more distinguishing features. But it is uncanny how similar to Aloran it looks.
I'm going to say, Lauren, I feel like this topiary has been modeled off of you in some shape or form. Are you sure that you haven't been here recently?
What are you talking about? And I'm going to turn and look at the topiary, and then I'm going to get a big fright, and I'm going to fall on my bottom and start backing away from the topipiary.
Perfect. You're thinking what I want you to see. That's what you see.
I'm still doing that. It isn't, because this is what Lauren's thinking.
Bob is going to turn and he's going to say, "Oh." And then he's going to look at you, Kira, and he's going to say, "That is Mrs. Skyvale."
I'm leaning forward, as in...
He's going to say, "One of the most decorated lieutenants within Il Oronoso's private guard. She is actually, as you can see, Aloran's mother, as well as one of the reasons why Aloran was chosen to be Her Majesty's consort. We had high hopes that he would protect Her Majesty as well as his mother has done in the Skyvale family for centuries."
Looking at Aloran right now, cowering on the ground, there is no one in hell who could protect anything, even a cat.
Even if it's a glamour cat or a country cat. Wow, this is a lot. I'm going to look at the topiary and look at Alora and look back and just say, I didn't realize that the levels of how much you're able to mess up, and yet it gets deeper. Okay.
Lauren's going to make a tiny mew sound like Andrew Moss did.
I'll just try to stand in front of Lauren and try to block his view of the topiary, because I can see he's getting super upset.
Andrew Mach, we're going to go back to you.
Because the cat is onto me, I'm going to go along for the ride until I can safely sneak away. So if the guard leaves me in the guard room or somewhere alone, or not alone with the glamour cat, then I'll try and sneak out and rejoin the group somehow.
The cat, Lyra, is going to meow at you. In wild shape, can you speak animal?
So apparently when you wild shape, you're limited to speaking in the animal you transform to, which is obvious, and you can actually converse to other members of the same species.
The more you know. As the cat says to you in cat, "You may have the idiot humans fooled, but I know what you are and what you aren't. And when they're sleeping and you're sleeping, I will get it out of you by claw or by magic. And then she stops and licks her paw so that you can see her, and then she like shinks out her claws, and they look weirdly sharp and long for a cat. And then she retracts them, and then she looks up at you, says in cat the word meow.
So Andromach acts weirdly oblivious to all of what this is happening, and it's just going to in cat say, I am lost. Have you seen my mom? I it's okay. I'll find her later. And I'm gonna like squint at the glamour cat, and you know that thing that cats do where they like walk closer and they like boop the other cat with their noses? Boop the other cat, and I'm like lightly gonna paw on the side of the face and say, What are you? You don't look like any cat I've ever seen before.
The two guards are going to be like, oh, it's so cute, they're playing. And Lyra's going to like lean back and look at you and say, I can understand you. I'm not playing. This thing is trying to deceive you. Please roll deception for me, or performance if you're going to be like, my mommy.
Well, deception too.
It wasn't cat, so only the cat knows you're not a cat. The cat knows you're lying. The cat matched you. So the cat knows you're not a cat. It rolled 2, but then it's got like +3. And the two are like, under their breath, they're going to be like, Lyra's mad, but it's so cute. And then the other one's going to say, Lyra will scratch you. And he's like, oh no. And then they're like, so good.
I'm going to start playing with her tail. You know, where you like flip around on your belly and you kind of bat at the tail of the other cat.
No need for initiative. You're just trying to be cute, and you're all like, look how cute I am. This cat is not impressed. Like, you know what it is? It's like when you get a younger sibling or something, and then they've done something wrong, and then you call your parents and you're like, look what my brother did. And then they're like, but look how cute he is. And he's like, he's not cute, he's a little terror, and he's the worst thing that's but look how cute he is. And you're like, you are the worst parents in the world. Please roll performance for me.
15.
Okay, so what that's going to give you is, for the two guards, you're always going to have advantage because you are just the cutest thing, and they are like, just like, this cat is so cute. And the one who's going to adopt you is like, my wife's going to be so stoked. Like, this is the cutest, best cat we've ever seen. And Lyra is just looking at you with a raised cat eyebrow, and her ears just twitching at the top, like that little like angry, like it's an angry stiff twitch, and her tail is stiff, and then just like the top part of the tail is also twitching like a metronome. And you can see Andromach, as you're rolling in the floor, being like, I'm so cute. You can see her claws are digging into the grass, and she says in cat, she's like, sleep with one eye open, and she's gonna walk past you and bat her tail into your face. I'm just gonna carry on walking.
What cats are they raising in this castle? My word.
At which point the two start following after her, but not before the guard who's adopting you picks you up. And they're gonna say, oh, Lyra, don't be like that. She's like, don't talk to me like that. I am not a child. And they're gonna be like, oh, Lyra, are you upset? She's like, I will... And then they're like obviously teasing Lyra. But you can see, Andromach, that it's one of those, you feel like once you saw Lyra's claws that she could actually really do some damage and probably, slit someone's jugular quite easily. But you can see it's almost that joking of like comrades who have been together for a very long time. They do it for a little bit, but then when she stops and turns to them, they're like, yeah, we should carry on our patrol. And then you can see they're like, okay, she's had enough, and we're not going to push it one step forward. So coming back to the three of you, Lauren, Kira, and Bob. Bob is at the muling of Lauren, going to say, your friend, we need to get your friend. No time for this. We need to get your friend, and we need to get to Her Majesty and warn her of the dangers.
The danger! I'm going to stand up.
Were those people guards? Do they work here?
Yes, those are part of the palace guards. They are meant to check and look after, ensure no intruders come about. That's why I usually leave the wasteworks one at a time. But then again, I've never seen a beholder down there, so these are unprecedented circumstances. And he's going to take his cloth and just ever so slightly dab a single droplet of sweat from his forehead.
perhaps we can try to find out where they might go, but I also have a feeling that Andromache might get into more trouble. I think we should try to rescue her as soon as possible. Do you see which way they went?
Can everyone roll survival or perception? Whichever's better for you.
8.
Cool. Luckily, Bob rolled better with 17. Bob is obviously au fait with the space. He's going to say, I imagine they would take her to the guardhouse in the interim, and then the guard will want to take her home. But we could surprise them within the maze and get your friend before they reach the guardhouse, because, well, as you would know, Lauren, and you would know this vaguely, but it's one of those things, it's not that you didn't care about the smaller people, but it's just your mom was like, don't worry about the palace guards. They're actually not really that useful. They're the alarm system and they're for show. They're to deal with stragglers who want to come and see the princess, right? They're for fanboys and fangirls that come into the palace grounds. They're not for actual threats. Your mom is a huge snob. You would know that there are multiple palace guards. Those two are the ones doing the rounds within the gardens. They are ones doing the rounds, and he starts rattling off a couple of names. So you realize that this guardhouse is going to be pumping with people.
I feel like we're going to be us playing Pac-Man, trying to avoid the guards and also try to find Andromache. And I'm starting to get a little dizzy thinking about it. So is there not a chance that we can just go straight to Her Highness and Andromache will find us?
He says, well, does your friend know that's where you're going? Because it did seem, and he's going to turn to you, Kira, very specifically, and as he says, it did seem down in the sewers that you had other plans involved. So would she be going towards your mother? And he raises a huge eyebrow, and he says, dripping with, it's not sarcasm, but it's that icy edge of if this is not your answer, I will smite you where you stand. As he says, or, as is the right thing to do, disdain, thank you, Gamer Teddy, or would she be heading towards Her Highness to protect the whole of Il-Uranus and the future of Kalandos? I wonder, which would she be doing, Miss Kira?
It's Miss Nightingale, but thank you.
For a moment he breaks and he's like, oh, I did a faux pas. And he's like, apologies, Miss Nightingale. But then he comes back with the disdain look. He's not rude.
Lauren is also looking very piercingly at Kira, waiting for her answer.
Yeah, peeping over the shoulder of Bob. They're both looking at you, and the topiary.
This is a big deal. You best answer this correctly.
And the topiary is towering over you with judgment.
This is a lot to take in, guys. I need a moment. I will obviously do what is right.
Okay, you decide. Is it deception, persuasion?
No, because I'm of two minds. Because I honestly, personally, I want to go find Isaiah as soon as possible. But I also acknowledge that we're in Il-Uranus. I can't just do as I please. I'm conflicted. Chat, let me know over or under.
Okay, chat over or under. And chat has said under, Kira.
I rolled 25, so that works out. All right, I'm going to break down and say that I don't know what I want anymore. All I know is that I've wanted this all my life, and now you guys are making me feel guilty for something I've wanted all my life, and I need to see my mother. There's so much I need to tell her about and what she did to me and my sister, and now you're just making me feel guilty for something I crave and I deserve, and you shouldn't hold me back from what I deserve.
Oh, snap!
Lauren, because he does not like seeing women cry, is going to awkwardly put his hand on Kira's shoulder, lay on hands. There.
Let me physically heal your emotional turmoil.
It's also now become almost like a reflex response to anything that gets upset because he's just confused.
Bob is going to hand you a handkerchief. It's very clearly this is actually a handkerchief, not a cloth. And he's going to say, I'm so sorry, Miss Nightingale. However, I do believe the best course of action would be to get Her Majesty on board, in which case we could contain your mother and allow you longer time for questions and more insight, as opposed to what I fear might be a dangerous battle if she is as strong as you have mentioned. I have heard tales of Isaiah within the streets, always as a merchant, but if you are to be believed, she's much more than that.
So I can't get this out of my head now. I'm not thinking Isaiah merchant in the streets, but killer in the sheets.
She does sell silk.
And she
So
she did kill one of your dads. I can't remember whose dad it was.
Darcy's.
She killed, she did.
The crab dad.
I'm going to turn to Bob and say, Miss Nightingale seems rather distressed. What say we write Her Majesty a note to warn her of the danger, go and find Andromach, and then head to see Isaiah. I'm still doing the awkward pat.
Bob turns and he's about to say, like, Lauren, that is the dumbest thing. And then he's like, Lauren, that is not actually a bad idea. I believe first let's get your companion, however, because it appears they might be confused as to where you're going. And once again, if we allow your companion to reach the guardhouse, it will be a lot more difficult. Also, and I apologize for saying this, I am unsure how fit your companion would be for escaping. They didn't appear to be able to hide very well. Because also, all Bob's seen is her falling into a gelatinous cube and then her flying away as an eagle. So he's going to say, we should go also before we lose their trail. And then he's going to hold out a hand to you, Kira, and say, do you feel prepared to continue, Miss Nightingale?
I'm going to let out a long breath, and I'm going to just look up at Bob and say, I have no choice. Yes, I can go on.
All right. At which point he's going to say, I think our best option is to cut through the side topiary and circumnavigate them at the front of the garden entrance. Stick with me and try keep as quiet as you can. They do seem to have a magical companion. And Lauren, as you know, the magical companion animals here are meant for protection and surveillance. So she might spot us before. So as quietly as you can. And he's going to slip into the side of the topiary. He almost disappears into it, and then he's going to open the bushes and wave his hand this way.
I'm gonna quick march. I'm following.
I'm gonna
The cat
pause.
needs rescuing.
Oh, it's going back to your roots. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, this is your preferred.
This is my thing.
I'll pause and I'll just kind of look around the garden and think about Isaiah's out there somewhere, and then I'll follow them as well.
Please roll for me survival and stealth. And then I will also roll for Bob.
I
4 for
got
survival.
4 for
13
survival.
for survival
Okay.
and 12 for stealth.
Look at
Nat
you,
one for
stealth.
stealth.
Oh, my word.
Okay, survival low, stealth 0 for Nelly, and then Bob got 7 for survival and 11 for stealth. Andromach, please roll perception for me.
16.
Yo, guys, these gods. Lyra, of course, got 22. Andromach, you and Lyra, you can see Lyra hears it. You hear noises in the bushes that you think are about 150 feet away. Lyra turns and starts hissing, at which point, when we start the episode again next week, we will roll initiative. So a huge thank you to my players who make everything an adventure, as well as to you, the chat, for being here on a Sunday and keeping us fascinated in there, and adding Lyra the cat. Lyra is the business. My players are now going to tell you where you can find them when they are not here being amazing.
I don't have an Instagram or Facebook or whatever presence of my own. I am not really an online person. But you can catch me over at my friend's YouTube channel, Wood Elfman Gaming, which is sadly lacking a little in content now because of lockdown, but we are definitely going to try and work on it as soon as lockdown restrictions get a little lifted.
Guys, you can find me on Instagram. That's probably the best and most PG place to find me. You can find me at Miss Mvubu, so that's MISSMVUBU. And I've freshened up my Instagram, so that means I might actually start posting stuff again. Stories is where I live. I live in stories. I hoard
Your
my
stories
photos.
are filled with win.
Your stories
Stories
are...
are awesome.
Yeah. And in case you didn't know, Nelly is also the mastermind behind our Instagram. That's why our stories have been so on point, and our posts.
Yeah.
Honestly, Nelly's stories are the best.
And you can also find me on Instagram, Wednesday_Lefey, that's Lefey, so of the fairies. And today I am pushing a friend of mine, Christo Smith, or Magic Smith on Instagram, Magic_Smith. He takes photos of the sky, the sea, the moon, the stars, and storms.
They're really amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So guys, if you can, I know times are hard, lockdown again, but if you can and if you do like things of the nature, like I do, please support him, and even if you can't buy one of his works, you can always get him a coffee.
Don't forgetting that sharing and giving extra exposure and sharing with your other friends also helps not only those artists and the friends we support, but also us as well. So if you did enjoy this, please don't forget to like and share and do all the things and rate and review our podcast and share it with your friends, foes, families, and familiars. Thank you so much, chat. You as always are super fun and create totally new spaces for us, as well as my players. You make everything an adventure. You can follow us on all the socials at DumDumDie, spelled DUMDUMDIE. Our Instagram is probably the best because Nelly runs it, as well as our Discord is pretty cool too. We will see you potentially next week, Tuesday, but we will keep you informed, so also stay on our socials for that. A huge thank you to Z-Man Games for the ad of Love Letter, as well as to all our friends who support and subscribe to us. And with that, we hope you have an amazing week that is safe and filled with adventure.